Hi everyone, it's Anne at Martin House Flowers. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying this last week of September. It's hard to believe that the end of summer is here and that the fall season is really starting. Today I decided to walk around the garden and share with you some of the footage of what is blooming in the garden. In my last video, I spent some time in the cut flower garden and wanted to share with you what I did with those flowers. I decided to pull out my small bud vases and put out a somewhat transitional fall table setting. So here are the lion's mouth snapdragons in little bud vases, and my baby boo pumpkins and Jack B. Little pumpkins, a couple butternut squash that I did manage to pull from that bed. Turns out I did try to plant some, but I think the pumpkins took over, and unfortunately I have had to pull out everything because of powdery mildew in that bed. So here is a couple little vases with the black print snapdragons, just the view of that from the back. And that carnation that you see there is not actually from my garden. My stepdaughter had an athletic night at her high school, and they gave those out to each of the athletes. So I thought that was a nice bud to put in there. So here's that Le Creuset picture that I picked up in that bright orange ombre, and I think it just offsets the pinks and oranges and corals, and even that burgundy, the snapdragons there, and all the Bennery's giants and the queen limes. And I did manage to put some status in here and an African daisy and those crackerjack marigolds and the Kilimanjaro white marigold. And there's an African daisy right there and a cupcake Cosmo. So this arrangement in my front foyer I really love. It's very spring-like in terms of colors, lots of pastels. There's one of those red bachelor's buttons or raspberry colors, and the marigolds and the queen lime orange, and a cupcake Cosmo there, and that lovely purple zinnia and that purpley pink snapdragon. This is the vase, an old vase I had from Canada with my artificial fall foliage and papery artificial white pumpkins. I really like this little arrangement in the front foyer on my antique little cast iron oven. And there's the sunflowers that you saw at the beginning of the video. I just wanted to share the story of how these sunflowers came about. I really treasure these. I think these are the I'll put on the screen which sunflowers these are. I think they're the teddy bear ones, teddy bear sunflowers, but we had planted several packages of sunflowers in that little bed, and that is all that came up because the birds ate everything. Those two shrubs on each side of the sunflowers are my Firelight Hydrangeas that I had planted a few weeks ago. So I had given up on the sunflowers and decided to put in those, just two of those panicle hydrangeas, but lo and behold. Yesterday I also harvested some gold medal tomatoes. Those are my third batch of them. And these surprise daytil peppers, these were free seeds from Baker Creek. I'd been harvesting them since they were green, but they turned red, and surprisingly, they are both sweet and a little bit spicy. Since the weather was so beautiful and cool yesterday, I decided to do some weeding in the rose bed. It turns out this Arctic blue rose is a late season bloomer. Isn't it absolutely beautiful? Although it's more pink than blue or lavender, I just love this rose, and I think I'm going to be appreciating several new blooms coming up. I just absolutely love this little shrub that I planted late June. Queen of Sweden just keeps blooming. It's getting ready to bloom, I don't know, maybe a 5th or 6th time this season. There are some really pretty new blooms coming up. I have 2 Queen of Sweden side by side there. So I think moving into October, this rose is going to continuously bloom. It's unbelievable how prolific it is. It really is a highly recommended rose for your garden. And there is my disappointing rose in terms of a little bit of black spot. But this is Emily Bronte. She is a very large, healthy shrub rose and is obviously building up its root system. And I'm hopefully going to see a lot of blooms next season. So it's gotten really large at the front of the border here in front of my Olivia Rose Austins. There's 2 of them there behind, which have also been blooming continuously, but no blooms as yet. And here is David Austin's Litchfield Angel. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but it's a really soft white rose and no scent, unfortunately, to Litchfield Angel, but it's probably on its 2nd set of blooms, maybe 3rd set of blooms. So again, this entire bed here with 13 roses was only planted middle of May to middle of June. This is, of course, Tchaikovsky, which is an heirloom rose that's very prolific, has had some black spot. There's Arctic Blue again. And Arctic Blue is a smaller shrub, as you can tell, in comparison to the other roses. But that's the rose that really struck me when I took my view of my rose garden yesterday and today. So here we are at the front bed, right in front of the porch, where my 5 lavender shrubs are. And I believe the one on the far right and the far left that are still in bloom are Sweet Romance Lavenders. And I did plant several by the peonies of those lavenders, but I'm yet to plant that last one because I've got the one shrub that's struggling. This morning I cut back that struggling lavender so I could get a better look at how damaged it is, and I'm still debating on whether to pull it out and plant that lavender before winter comes. I think I might do that today. It's just quite a large lavender there on the right, and I hate to pull it out if it's going to make a comeback, but I don't know. I think it's probably best I do it now. Here is Tchaikovsky, the first one that I planted last spring, and as you can see, it is a pretty large shrub. I think it's about 5 feet tall now, and I cannot believe how much of a continuous bloomer this is. It just keeps growing, even though I fertilize it at the same frequency as all my other roses. This one has certainly grown to be quite the large shrub. And now I'm thinking the second one that I planted in that bed of roses directly across, it's going to get pretty large and may need to move it. But I love the fragrance of the Tchaikovsky rose. It's very pleasant, a nice classic rose with a little bit of a citrusy smell to it. And here we have David Austin's Scepter Dial. It's about to bloom a very soft pink rose, and I decided to just lean it against the arbor next to Eden, which hasn't bloomed yet this year. Actually, Eden did bloom once, I'm sorry. And New Dawn, which is my most prolific climbing rose and has definitely grown from the base with all of its canes all the way up the top of the arbor and around, and has definitely met up with Eden, but hasn't bloomed since it's been climbing. So I'm curious if those canes will maintain themselves through the winter. So here is Lady of Shalott, David Austin's Lady of Shalott. It has bloomed a couple times and it's ready to bloom again. It turns out it's going to be quite a large rose, and I think I need to put an arbor or obelisk around it. Right there I got caught by the thorns of Lady Shalott. It literally caught my shirt. I was stuck with a thorn in my stomach for a couple seconds. Not fun. And this is Carefree Wonder, which is a nice bright pink rose. I'm a little bit disappointed in how open the buds are because they don't last very long on the stems. But I'm hoping in future seasons that they will be less open. It could just be because it's a new rose. And just across is the last rose that was planted at the end of my rose bed, and that's the Poet's Wife, David Austin's The Poet's Wife. So these are new blooms that just came out last couple days. And it's funny that I see these little speckles of pink, and the blooms are more like these ones here, which I took a photo of just about a week ago. So they have a really bright yellow center and white on the outside. Also today I decided to try and train my Kiss Me Kate rose. I took some zip ties to those left and right canes that have grown so tall. I think we're up to, 7-8 feet now. So I had received some comments about trying to train them horizontally to get more blooms. And I did end up planting the sedum autumn fire in the ground underneath my dappled willow tree. And beside that, a few feet away, the peach digitalis that I planted from seed is in bloom. I'm so thrilled. There are a couple blooms there. There's one to the right as well. And I have planted these little seedlings in a few places around the garden in the beds, but this is the only side on the west side that is blooming. And there's the dappled willow and my greenhouse starting to lose some leaves. Well, that's it for today's video. I just thought I would share the walk in the garden at the end of September and show you what's in bloom. I hope you enjoy this last weekend of September and hope you can get in your garden. And until next time, we'll see you in the next video. Take care.